So John, tell me about Denis Law. How proud are you to have Denis Law coming from Aberdeen?
Very proud, because Denis was a hero of mine, and before I started at Man Utd, and to join a club like Man Utd with a hero being there was just absolutely fantastic. And he helped me a great deal at Old Trafford, as you know yourself, John, and I'll never be so grateful for it. Probably a lot of people wouldn't know, but I was the first substitute for Man Utd ever, and who did I come on for? My hero, Denis Law. That was quite unbelievable, but I replaced him at some time in my life.
You must have had mixed emotions though. Delight to be able to come on, but slightly sad to see Denis go off.
Oh yeah, it was sad to see Denis going off, but to come on for him was just unbelievable. And to play for Man Utd, John, that was the important thing, to get in there and, know what it was all about. 63,000 people at Old Trafford. It was just fantastic.
Well, when I come back to Aberdeen for a few days, this is where I normally stay. Wouldn't say it's like a second home, but it's such a lovely place, and I really enjoy it, and I really enjoy it when I come back home. So I'm meeting John Fitzpatrick, who's just walked out the door actually, before he was even summoned to walk out the door. We were waiting for you to be like, come.
No, he told me, he actually told me to do that.
Oh, did he?
Oh, right.
Yeah. Well, he's out of order.
There's a nice bottle of wine.
A nice bottle of wine?
Yes.
Where did you get that from?
Well, it's out my personal cellar, actually. I would only give you the best. I wouldn't give you any rubbish.
Oh,
Fitzy.
Fitzy.
It's room temperature.
It's very nice. And
nice to see you.
How do you pronounce this? Chateau?
Chateau Hockhat.
Hockhat. What was that? Hockhat?
Forget the front name.
It's a Scottish wine, actually. Chateau Hockhat.
From Fronsac. It's a nice wine. It's a
Seriously, yeah.
2003.
Yeah, £1.50. It's not too bad. Nice to see you. You know what? 2 cups of it. Which one is it? We've got an extra cup. Hang on. Does it? Anybody? Would you like a cup?
It must have been nice for you, John, when you arrived at United and you had a fellow Aberdonian at Old Trafford.
Well, it was a big help in the fact that I was homesick from time to time, and Denis probably won't remember it. I went and asked his advice and things like that, and yeah, he helped me as much as he helped me with my football as well, believe it or not, because Denis was never much of a coach, and he always says to me, when I got in the first team, to pass the ball to his feet, not to the right or the left, to my feet, because that's what they're for. And that stayed in my mind all the time after that, and whether I did it or not, Denis.
Well, you did quite well, Fitzy, I must admit, yes. But you're unfortunate you had some bad injuries in your career, which wasn't very pleasant.
But you know what overshadowed all that, Denis, which I thought was fantastic, especially for me, to have a mate like Bestie, because we grew up together, and play in the same team as you and Bobby Charlton and George Best.
Right.
I mean, how many people could actually say that? And that was just
probably 8 others.
8 others.
There was three of us in the team, yeah.
But I just thought that was fantastic.
Well, it was.
I did. Although I had a few arguments on the park, man.
It was nice. It was. No, you were a fine player, Mr. Fitzpatrick. Fine player, and just unfortunate, as I said to you, you just had a couple of injuries where, that was serious injuries, really.
I think now, Denis, if I had the injuries that I had then, I think you could do something about them.
Absolutely, yes. The same with my knee as well.
Yeah.
The technology wasn't about then.
No.
So, and of course, the size of the squad that you had then was not the same as it is today.
No.
A lot of time, and this was for every football team in England and Scotland, they played on whatever days, Wednesday and a Saturday, with players who were not fit and really should not have been playing.
Yep.
And I don't think that really would happen today.
No.
Because there's such a shortage of players that you played when you weren't fit.
Yep.
And really, in a way, the injury got worse.
It did.
And, looking back on it now, if you had the choice, I know personally myself, if I had to look back and say, I wouldn't be playing.
No.
I wouldn't have played in games where the bosses said, well, we need you and all this. Well, excuse me, boss, but I'm not fit here, and it could damage you. I would definitely do that now. And I think we played
as well, Dennis, that Matt Busby was such an influence to you that you actually played because and for the boss.
Because of him.
You didn't want to disappoint and say no, I'm not.
No.
But saying what you're saying just now, absolutely sensible, because you really couldn't carry on like that.
No,
nowadays,
absolutely not. No. So, looking back, have we done?
Who I think of was a real hero, believe it or not, Desty, the amount of stick he took was just incredible. And I can never remember him having a fitness test.
No.
The gaffer used to say to him before the game or in the morning of the game or whatever, are you fit, George? Yeah, I'm fit. And he would play. And then sometimes he wasn't fit.
No. Well, the beauty about Sir Matt was, if you were having a fitness test on a Friday and he didn't want you to play and you were running and you felt really good, and he would go, you don't look good to me. So, well, I feel,
no, you don't feel that.
And then when he wants you to play, I would go, I don't feel, you look great.
Yeah.
You look really good. And that was definitely a two-sided Sir Matt.
Yeah,
and I think he did that. He did that with every player. If he didn't want you to play, he'd go, you're not looking good.
Doesn't matter who you were,
no matter who you were, no, you were out. As soon as he said that.
He was something different, wasn't he, Dennis?
He was different class.
You talk about managers today, and Sir Matt was he was a father figure, wasn't he?
Yes, yeah.
I don't think we actually treated him as a boss, did we?
No, it was, as you say, it was a family figure, really. And, well, the team, you were a family, weren't you?
Yeah.
And when you were on the field and you got 60-odd thousand, which was the crowd in those days, you weren't playing for anybody but Sir Matt.
Sir Matt,
yeah.
That's right.
You would, if he said to you, as you come in at half-time, give you a pat like that, you knew that you were playing, you were doing the business.
That's right.
If he ignored you, which he ignored me plenty of times, you realised you were having a bad game.
Which happened.
So I didn't speak to him that often. No. But it was the type of football that he installed into.
It was to Man United.
The way that they played was to entertain the people. Is there such a word as installed, or is it instilled?
Instilled.
It was instilled. I thought there was something wrong there, yes. All right. It was the kind of football that he instilled into Manchester United, was to entertain, try and score goals and try and win. And if you played as long as you played your best and tried your best, then there was no argument regarding what the result was. It was never after the game, this, that and the other.
No.
You'd done it.
Well, the great thing about that, Dennis, is that Fergie's trying to do the same, isn't he?
Fergie is in the same mould as Sir Matt.
I mean, he came down, had a bad time, eventually he won the players' round and got the players that he wanted to start being successful.
Yeah.
And whoever's got to come in and take over for Fergie has got a big job in his hands.
Well, Fergie will not retire until he's 123. I mean, so he's got plenty of years left, really. Yeah. No, but the point being, when you look back at some of the managers around that particular time, I was lucky to play with Bill Shankly and, of course, Jock Stein when he was manager of Scotland.
All big personalities, eh?
All big personalities, Sir Matt, of course. And, it was that, they were all right from around Glasgow area.
That's right.
Where Sir Alex is from, and they're just like football crazy. And they knew that the people paid good money to come in and watch you, whatever team you were that. And therefore you had to supply the goods.
But you know something, Dennis, I always remember about the boss, and with you being a wee bit older and he was respected more, he always made things simple, didn't he? He always thought that football was a simple game.
Yeah.
He didn't make things complicated. I can remember ever at a team talk coming out and saying to myself, well, I don't understand what he's saying, or this or that or the next thing, because he made it so simple.
Well, I always remember these team talks, and I always hoped he had him on a Friday, because by the time the game came on a Saturday, I'd have forgot all about him, because I didn't want to know anything about the other. I didn't want to know anything about the opposition, who was a hard man, who was kicking you, or whatever. I thought, frightened you to death.
That's true.
So I was hoping he'd always have it the day before.
Yeah.
We used to dread London when he'd have it in the morning of the game, and it was still fresh in your mind. So you think, oh no, Chopper Harris, oh dear, no. So that's the type. So yeah. So as when he said he put it simple, yeah. Give us a team talk on the Friday, something, and I've forgot about it by the time the game comes along. But yeah, you're
right. One of the
right.
things that stands out for me in those days was you had a lot more English-Scottish rivalry, which seems to have disappeared these days.
And I'll tell you, there were good players as well. McCready, people like that. John White, fantastic players, Dennis, weren't they?
Well, the top teams in England always had a couple of Scots who were not just decent players. No. They were, in the main, very, very good players.
Absolutely.
When you think of Dalglish,
Dave Mackay
at Liverpool, Souness, Mackay, Billy Bremner. Gilzine. There was always, but they weren't just good players. They were really good players. Yep. Now, as you go by, there's a few Scots in the English game, but not that many, and certainly not in the class. I don't think of the people that we talked about.
I can't think of anybody that's right up there with the names that you've mentioned, Dennis. You know that I really can't. Well, there's not. There's not anybody there. No. Even in Scotland, there's not.
No.
I mean. No. We are really short of quality players in our national team, but the Scottish game as a whole is really pretty bad, Dennis.
Well, you see it more than me, right enough, I'm sort of being in Manchester, so you know more about it, so I can't get into that.
No.
I don't want to embarrass you, because obviously Dennis is sitting there, but just give us a little tribute to what your memories of Denis Law, the football player.
Hang on, I'll get the money out.
No,
hang on.
Which I thought was a really important thing as far as I was concerned, because I was a very lucky boy to get a game for Man United, and when you looked around the dressing room and you saw, I've got to mention the three of them, Dennis, thank you Dennis, you saw Denis Law, Bobby Charlton, George Best. It didn't have to give you some confidence before you went out. And I remember at times, and maybe Dennis will remember this himself, no, you probably won't. We're coming down the tunnel, and it was quite a big tunnel at Old Trafford, and the opposition used to be at the other side, and you had the feeling that they were standing looking at Georgie, Dennis and Bobby and saying, well, maybe we can deal with one, but it's got to be really difficult to deal with three. And that really gave us a right boost, and I can't say any higher recommendation than that for Dennis. I just thought he was a great player.
Oh, I'm crying.
No, it's true.
No, it was a nice time. I think it was a nice time all round. I think the 60s into the 70s, football was just really, the working man, and I don't know, it was the sort of industry of entertainment was like in the film business, the show business. They were into the football as well. It was like the swinging 60s really, and I think Bestie was one of that early, sort of pop star coming in the football world, wasn't it? He would have been the first.
He was the first
to come into that. So it was really I think a fantastic time to be in it. Like it was the Beatles, the Rolling Stones. It was like short skirts, minis, all that type of thing. It was just like we were in it. It was after the war, wasn't it? People were getting off over the war and getting, the rations and whatnot. Yeah. So now it was just like, and football was coming into that entertainment business.
That's why, Dennis, when they look back and people say to you they never saw George Best herself or Bobby playing, it was always that three that got mentioned, and quite rightly so, because they were the best. But people still say to this day, was Bestie really as good as people say he was? He was, Dennis, wasn't he?
Yeah, of course he was, yeah.
He was just
And of course it was Sir Matt, who had lost half the team, of course, in Munich.
Yeah.
And people were then looking to United to see how they were doing, how they were coping, and into the early 60s. Now, don't forget, it was only 5 years after the crash that United won
That's right.
the FA Cup.
Yeah.
And then when you think again, it was only 10 years after
the European Cup
that they won the European.
Yeah,
so,
that's right.
And I thought a lot of people took to United to see how they were doing, and I think that was one of the reasons as well why they became such a famous club.
That's right.
But then to add that to the football that they played and the fact that they were the first English club to win the European Cup. So it was like a dream, wasn't it? It's
we
coming true.
We went to tour to Australia, New Zealand, America.
Yes.
It was full houses wherever we played.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's going away back in the 60s.
Really, before the act of like live television as such, which now, of course, nowadays is fantastic. I think the world of television and for the supporters throughout the world really is fantastic, isn't it? When they could tune into more or less any live game, well, not any live game, but live games from wherever, any part of the world.
But
Really.
you don't watch it still, do you?
I was never a great watcher of football. No. Occasionally I watch a game or so, but I wouldn't be able to name any team. I know that in the Premier League, there's so many different players now.
Watch it.
Yeah.
Excellent. Just wrap it up by saying, good to see you again, or something. You picked a nice day to come back anyway.
Yeah, I picked a nice day to come back.
You did?
I wasn't prompted by the producer.
No.
I picked a lovely day to come back. I picked a lovely day to come back.
Anyway, it's nice to see you again.
It was lovely to see you.
And I hope everything goes well.
Okay, and thank you for the half bottle of wine. Oh, was it a full bottle? Oh, sorry.
Full bottle.
So, okay, thank you very much. That's very kind of you.
Nice to see you.
Excellent.